Grand Rising family, what's happening? Let's get it in. Today I want to talk to Trump and his supporters. Boogaloo, Bad Boys, Three Percenters, those various groups, especially those guys that was roaming through the streets in Washington, D.C. last night, right? I want to figure out what are you guys trying to do, right? We are on the eve of 234 years after what took place in Pennsylvania, PA, right? 234 years on the eve. Subtract 234 from 2021, and you get what you call a ratification, or what you talked about, the Constitution. And those particular gentlemen back then, I want to say straight up from the front that they had a little more statistical fortitude than you guys. You guys are crybabies, right? You're just like the Negro when it comes to this issue with the government, right? I also would like to add that you are 342 boxes later in the city of Boston, right? December the 16th, 1773. And we want to talk about May 14th, 1787, right? 342 boxes of tea, 234 years we're on the eve, right? May 14th next year will mark 234 years since you guys put together this framework that got you arguing today. So what I'm talking about, you guys, just like Grandmaster Jay, y'all marching around with guns. You say you won the election, you say you want to stop the steal, right? But all I hear you doing is squealing, just crying, just crybabies. You're just like the Negro. You went to court numerous of times. You had 17 states decide with you, 126 Republicans. And that's interesting, 1 to 26. There are 1 to 26 alphabets. And tomorrow, ironically, is December the 14th, another important date where the votes are certified. So when your forefathers were dealing with the British, right? And they exhausted all of their administrative remedies, their judicial remedies, etc., right? Pay attention, Negroes, because this same message, right, is a model to solving your problems too. Because I'm going to use the American Revolution as a model to solve both of you guys' problems, because you guys have exhausted your administrative remedies, right? The Negro is filing court cases on some systematic racism. They're filing court cases on police brutality, murders, etc., etc. And they do not receive any justice in the courts of America. So you guys have filed lawsuits in many different courts protesting the election. You want to overturn the election because you say they stole the election. So in essence, both of you guys are being taxed without representation. That's what you're saying. So your forefathers, both of your forefathers, right, would not have subjected themselves to such tyranny. So George Washington and a bunch of those guys attempted to do some civil discourse with Britain. They attempted to try to work out their administrative judiciary remedies, and they came to a solid wall. It's not happening, right? Kind of sound like Joe Biden when he told the Negro leadership, I'm not doing it, right? And so SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, also told you guys, I'm not doing it, right? So what you gonna do? You gonna keep marching up and down the street with guns? You're gonna keep on pulling out guns with people? You're gonna act as if you're fighting the ops the opposition by fighting against Trump supporters and Trump supporters fighting against BLM and y'all fighting against Antifa, but nobody is really addressing the people who really are oppressing you. You're only addressing the sheepdog, right? Because if you smack the shepherd, they say the sheep will scatter, but you forgot about the sheepdog. The sheepdog is Antifa. The sheepdog is you guys out in the street, right? But you ain't gonna bust a grape. That's what I want to tell Trump supporters. Stop crying. You're not gonna bust a grape, just like Grandmaster Jay in the NFC, just like a lot of the black revolutionaries. You're not gonna bust a grape. Why? Because you're not like your forefathers. Your forefathers realized the end game, right? Once you exhaust all of your remedies in courts, in marching, protesting, writing your congressmen, or they were writing the lords over there in the parliament back then. But what did the end game spell out? That's what I want to talk about with you guys. See, the conservatives say that the Negro is a crybaby. Give me some food stamps. Give me some welfare. Give me better housing. You just crybabies. Why don't you pull yourself up by your own bootstraps? Well, they just kick your shit out of the Supreme Court. What are you going to do? Right? Tomorrow is December the 14th, 12/14. That's an interesting number. So it's easy as ABC and 1, 2, 3. 12/14. So you have between 12/14 and January the 20th of next year to make your mind up. Are you going to keep on kicking this can down the road, or you're going to pick it up and address it? This is to Proud Boys. This is to the black community. How long are we going to keep kicking this can down the road, or are we going to address these issues? Now, within the Constitution, after you have exhausted all of your administrative remedies, you have a third option: to abolish a tyrannical government. We, the people, have the power to abolish a tyrannical government. And I don't have to convince the Negro community that they have been up on a tyrant. And so you boogaloo guys, since you say you went to court, you had evidence about the Dominion machines, you got voter fraud. You don't have to convince me, the black community, that there's such thing as voter fraud, because the Democrats and the Republicans have been cheating us out of votes ever since they started this shit. Ever since they realized that they wrote within their Constitution a way for us to get into the voting process, they had to cheat at it. So it's not a surprise to us. What a surprise is to me is that the black community, right, and the crybabies that was in DC last night, you guys won't pick up the can. Marching ain't going to solve nothing. See, when your forefathers marched, there was a gun battle after that. Blood, guts, death, mourning, funerals, the loss of family members, all of that. See, and quite simple, just most of you are conservatives or Christians, and you guys should know this. See, the word crime and the word sin has the same definition. It's a violation of the law. So this tyrannical government has violated the laws that is written within their own Constitution. You ain't got to tell black people that. We know they've been wrote us a check that they can't cash. So now you guys all of a sudden realize that the government is wrong, that it's corrupt, that it's voter fraud, that there's economic disparities, etc. You're worried about your populations 40 years from now. Biden leaked it out. That's what you guys are worried about. But my point is, what is all of this crybaby stuff running through the streets of DC when your ancestors, your forefathers, the Zulus or the founding fathers? See, after all of the administrative remedies are exhausted, you know what the end game is. You guys got to do something. There is no more court cases. I'm tired of going to damn court, ain't you? The black community, you tired of going to court, ain't you, about Breonna Taylor, about an Ahmaud Arbery, right? I mean, the list goes on and on. The court cases go on and on and on and on and on. And only thing happens is there is an attempt at justice. There's a flirting with justice. All of your forefathers understood that justice is at the end of your hand. Now, what's in that hand? Voting card, right? Bill before legislation, a plea to legislators to change something. Well, according to my research, what you guys taught me in school, in the American school system, when you taught me about the American Revolution, your forefathers had a gun in their hands. And they didn't get on boats to go all the way to Britain to march around the House of Lords. What did they do? They took up arms and they declared themselves to be men. And so that's what you're going to have to do, black man, or that's what you crybabies going to have to do, that's running around. And tonight you're going to be running around and you're going to be running around in Washington. But just like Malcolm X told us, he said, this is the year of the ballot or the bullet. See, because the American Negro is caught up in a political football game between two white parties. The white conservative party, to whom you call Republicans, right? And the weirdos, to whom you call liberals or Democrats. They're kicking you up down the political football field. They got you playing the games, you out there entertaining them. But at the end of the day, they own the NFL team. They own both parties. What are you going to do, black man? What are you going to do, Patriots? Are y'all going to allow these two parties to continue to trick you every 4 years? Use a 4-year hope. Y'all love rehearsing and rehashing this shit over and over and over and over again. But this is the year of the ballot or the bullet. Now, some of you guys say, well, both of you guys may be outgunned. And the odds are against you. Well, your forefathers didn't worry about those odds. They were willing to face them. So you crybabies, Proud Boys, Boogaloo, 3%ers, NFAC, the Black Liberation Community, when are you guys going to face it? That this waiting around, waiting on some politician to get into office that's going to listen to your views, your forefathers was not thinking this. Shaka Zulu was not thinking this. Queen Nzinga was not thinking this. Idi Amin was not thinking this. The founding fathers were not thinking this. They understood that the buck has to stop here. Tomorrow is 12/14. We're on the eve of 234 years, right? After what took place in 1787 in Pennsylvania. The ship is 342 boxes lighter. But yet you guys are still talking what your forefathers didn't waste time with. When are you going to realize that you're going to have to pick this can up that you've been kicking down the road? You know that can that been on the back burner? See, the back burner solution is you have a right to abolish government. You should have picked this up. Tomorrow is 12/14, a very interesting day your forefathers chose. And since a lot of you conservatives like to say to non-whites that they should learn English, there's a mystery about the English language and the 9 numbers that are attached to them. There's 234 years we're on the edge of it. 12/14. Well, if I wrote out the numbers from 1 to 9 in the English language, which are 26 alphabets, 1 to 26 alphabets, notice those 1 to 26 politicians that attach themselves to those 17 states that SCOTUS kicked the case out of court. So if you know so much about English, what's the important thing between the 9 numbers and the 26 alphabets in tomorrow's date? And was there some codified way that your ancestors was trying to tell you that you're going to have to pick that can up? This is easy as ABC and 1, 2, 3. You're going to have to realize that the ballot ain't working, that the court cases are not working. Now, this is not what I really want to do, or something that you probably would want to do, because we know the end game is bloodshed. Just like sin, I said earlier, just like the word crime, they both mean violation of the law. Well, you Jesus people realize that there's no remission of crime, sin, or violation of the law unless there's some shedding of blood. There's life in blood. There's blood in life. Even when a baby come here, there has to be some bloodshed. So who's willing to sacrifice for the freedom of others? And who's willing to appreciate those who would sacrifice themselves so that you could be free? See, because that got to go hand in hand. They got to work in tandem. Other than that, you keep your oppression. You're going to keep getting it unless you're willing to sacrifice, unless you're willing to lay down your life for what you say you believe in, because those politicians don't believe you. On both sides, he is a bird. It has 2 wings, right? But notice these arms are attached to this torso, right? So if this is the Republicans and this is the Democrats, they're still attached to this head, this network right here. But you're attacking this wing, and then you telling me attack this wing, and then they telling me attack this wing. Why don't I just hit that motherfucker in the head? I shut down both because they don't respect you. That's why you outside running around DC crying, drinking beer in the middle of the street crying, running, where's Antifa? Where's Antifa? Why are you looking for Antifa? You know who's running the government? Why are you looking for Antifa? I want to know, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit around and just march around Washington, right? Or are you going to have some testicular fortitude like your ancestors did? They stuffed their musket guns. Remember the Minutemen? Listen, my children, you shall hear. Remember that? Every Middlesex and every farm. 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. All that bull stuff that you taught. Now you're going to have to live it out. Because if you don't do nothing about what's going on in America at this moment in time, because it's a window of opportunity between tomorrow and January the 20th of 2021. And if you don't seize that particular opportunity, you can kiss your freedom goodbye.